Welcome to the Language Alchemy podcast, where you transform how you communicate to create the life and relationships you truly want. I'm your host, Alejandra Siroka, and I help multicultural individuals, couples, and change makers move beyond surface level politeness and conflict avoidance to have authentic, value-based interactions that actually resolve issues and deepen connection. If you're tired of rehashing conversations in your head, walking on eggshells, or feeling misunderstood in your most important relationships, this podcast will give you a new way forward. And if you've been thinking about getting support with your communication, visit languagealchemy.com to find out which transformative communication program is most beneficial for you. As you may know, sometimes I like to start episodes with a question to help you reflect on a topic and to consider if it might be useful to you. So my question is there someone in your life right now, a partner, a sibling, a parent, a coworker, a close friend, whose communication style is very challenging for you? Someone whose words, tone of voice, or reactions feel so frustrating, so hurtful, so exhausting that you find yourself saying to yourself, if only they would just change the way they communicate with me, everything in my life would be so much better. If you're nodding your head right now and saying yes out loud, then this episode is for you. Because today, we are going to explore what I consider to be one of the most important and transformative recognitions you can make in your communication. And it begins with a compassionate and honest look at a communication pattern that leads us to relate to others as a child, even when we are wonderful, intelligent, capable, and caring adults. Going back to that relationship you thought about, when you imagine the conflict or tension you are experiencing in that relationship, what is most of your mental or emotional energy focused on? Is it focused on them, on what they said or didn't say, on how they reacted, how they withdrew, how they criticized you? Do you keep thinking about how if they could just be kinder, calmer, more open, or less defensive, then your relationship would finally feel right? If your answer is yes to any of these questions, then you are in good company. I see this so often with my students and clients. And also, this is something that I have seen in my own communication. But you know what? When our primary motivation in relationships is for the other person to change how they communicate so that you can feel better, safer, more at ease, more seen, then we are relating to that person from the perspective of a child. And I'm not saying this to shame you or diminish you in any way. As I said, I worked on this on myself as well. I am saying it as one of the most important invitations for growth that Language Alchemy can offer you. So let me explain what I mean. And let me start from the very beginning. When we were children, we had very little power or autonomy. Our brain was not yet fully developed. We couldn't decide where to live, what to eat, what clothes to wear, or what school to attend. Others, our parents, caregivers, teachers, older siblings, they made all those decisions for us. They created our world. They shaped our environment. And this is not only true for our physical needs like food, shelter, or clothing. It is equally true for our emotional and relational needs. When we were young, we had no capacity to regulate our own nervous systems. We couldn't create emotional safety for ourselves. When we felt scared or lonely or overwhelmed, we depended entirely on the adults around us to come and soothe us, to hold us, to tell us that we were going to be okay. We needed them to create the conditions for connection and calmness. You can see this so clearly if you've ever watched a parent hand a young child to someone else, even just to use the restroom for 2 minutes. The child may immediately become distressed. They cry, they reach out, they call for the parent, and then when the parent returns, within moments, the child's breathing deepens, their body relaxes, and they may even laugh, just like that. That child isn't doing anything wrong. That child is doing exactly what a child's developing nervous system is designed to do, to look to the outside world to regulate the inside world. This is developmentally appropriate. This is how it's supposed to work when we are young. But something important happens as we grow. Most of us learn to use language and communication that never quite caught up with our own development. So instead of learning to say, when you left, I felt scared, you learn to say, you made me scared. Or instead of saying, when you raised your voice, I felt small and my heart started to race, we learn to say something like, you made me feel terrible. We learned the language of you did this to me. What did we learn there? To externalize our inner world and place it in the hands of another person. And so we grew into adults who still unconsciously relate to others as if they are responsible for our internal and external environment. We grew into adults who believe that if the other person would just change, we would finally be okay. Now you may ask, how do I know I'm not communicating as the adult I am? Well, I am so glad you asked. Here are 5 signs that show that you may be communicating from a younger version of yourself. Now, as you hear them, I invite you to recognize the pattern with compassion and curiosity. You are not communicating as the wonderful adult you are if, number 1, you blame others for how you feel. When anger, sadness, anxiety, or insecurity arise within you, and your first instinct is to point outward and not inward, now you know. When you say something like, you drive me crazy, you make me anxious, you don't respect me, you don't care about me. Number 2, you are not communicating as the adult you are when you attribute your happiness, your safety, your sense of joy entirely to what someone else does or says. So you feel calm only because they are calm. Or for example, you say something like, I am okay if you are okay. Or, you make me happy. I am not happy if you're not here. Or when you feel worthy only because the other person validated you. For example, when you say, I know I'm a good person because everyone at work tells me they like working with me. Number 3, you're not communicating as the adult you are when you wait for the other person to create the environment we want first, just like a child waits for a parent, instead of showing up in a way in which we are creating that environment internally for ourselves. This is when we say things like, I won't be kind to you until you are kind to me. Or, I can't share about my feelings with you until you prove to me that you are safe. Or after we realize we hurt someone and we say something like, I will not apologize until you apologize. Number 4, you are not communicating as the adult you are when you keep emotional tabs, a running mental ledger of who gave what and who owes what. When you feel entitled to more because you gave more. Or when you say something like, you should not talk to my ex anymore because I was there for you when you lost your job. Or when you withdraw your warmth as a form of punishment and offer it back as a form of reward. So you say something like, I'm not going to help my coworker because I helped them, and when I needed help, they didn't offer to help me. even though, of course, they knew I was stressed out. And number 5, you are not communicating as the adult you are when you can fluently describe everything that's wrong with their communication, but you struggle or refuse to see your own communication in moments of discomfort, lack of clarity, reactivity, or hurt. Let's say that there are 2 people out there, and let's call them Jordan and Alex. If Alex is focused on having Jordan's communication change so that Alex can feel safe, connected, respected, and at ease, then Alex has no power. Alex has no autonomy. 0. And Alex's solution depends entirely on Jordan. And the truth is that some days or during some moments, Jordan may not be able to communicate skillfully, empathically, especially if Jordan is tired, under the weather, under-resourced, overworked, or maybe Jordan just had a very difficult experience. And so their communication is curt, annoying, unskillful, maybe a little hurtful. Just like our parents and caregivers, just like our teachers, older siblings, and adults in childhood could not provide an environment that was safe, connected, peaceful, joyful, 100% of the time without exception, the people in our lives now can't either. So if we are waiting for them to change, that becomes a lonely and exhausting place to live. And in my experience coaching individuals, couples, and groups with their communication, if others are expecting us to provide a safe and connected environment for them 100% of the time, we would feel burdened and exhausted. That would really be too much, especially if the ones who are waiting for us to create that are adults. In those moments when we find someone else's words and behaviors challenging to be with, when the external environment is not meeting our relational needs, we have a great ability we need to cultivate. This is the invitation that Language Alchemy offers you. And this is your transformative communication tool for today. And that is to reclaim your connection with your inner environment. If you recognize yourself in any of what I've described, do not fall into the trap of self-criticism, because that will direct all your energy towards self-hatred instead of transformation. So take a moment right now and call in your capacity for compassionate understanding. Communicating and relating to others as a child was appropriate when you were a child. And it wasn't just appropriate, it was necessary. But now that your brain is fully formed, now that you have the cognitive, emotional, and relational capacity of an adult, your communication, which is what shapes your relationships, needs to match the compassionate, brilliant, loving adult you are. It's time for your communication to grow. And that grow is what I call psycholinguistic development. This is where language alchemy as an awareness practice becomes your transformative ally. So when you notice yourself obsessing or focusing all your attention and intention in having the other person change, pause and tell yourself, there's something about what they are doing or saying that's challenging for me. And then ask yourself, what is challenging for me? What is something I don't know how to respond to with clarity, confidence, or compassion? My suggestion is that you spend at least a couple of minutes reflecting on this. Or better yet, give yourself 10 minutes to journal about it. If you want to practice this with me right now, let's go through 4 transformative steps together. As I walk you through them, feel free to pause the podcast for a few seconds after each step. So let's begin. Step 1, recognize the pattern. So think about a real relationship, one where you find yourself saying again and again, if this person communicated differently with me, then our relationship would be good. Or then I could trust them. Or then I could feel safe, supported. Or then I would not feel lonely. Now that you have that person in mind, answer this question. Are you waiting for this person to make you feel something you want to feel? In other words, are you believing this person is responsible for your emotional well-being? That recognition alone is language alchemy. Remember, awareness is always the first step. Step 2, turn toward the inner experience. Instead of focusing outward on what they said or did or how they should change, turn inward. Notice what you are actually feeling in your body right now. And observe, where is that feeling? What is it like? Is there tightness in your chest? Heaviness in your stomach area? Heat rising in your face? Then name the feeling. Is it anxiety, sadness, loneliness, fear, shame? Taking this step will help you connect to your internal environment. You are teaching yourself to be present with yourself, even if others are not, cannot, or don't know how to be present with you. Step 3, verbalize what you found in your inner environment. Instead of saying out loud, "You never listen to me," try this. When I'm speaking and I notice you're looking at your phone, I feel concerned. I start to wonder if what I'm saying matters to you. And instead of saying, "You left me alone at the party, that was so disrespectful," try this. When you walked away to talk to your coworker, I stood there by myself and I started feeling very anxious. I didn't know anyone, and I suddenly felt very alone. Or instead of, "You guys leave us to clean up the mess with every small account," try this. When I saw the list of clients who have not been notified yet, I felt concerned about our ability to support our customers and our teams just like we had agreed. Take a moment to reflect on the difference. That second version, after I said, "Try this," is far more powerful because it's true. It's yours. It's your experience. And in case you're wondering, no one can argue with your inner experience the way they can argue with a blame statement. And step number 4, ask for what you need as an adult. This is where so many of us stop short. We express the feeling, but then we still slip back into demanding that the other person fix it entirely. Adult communication means taking responsibility for your growth while also inviting the other person into a genuine partnership. Alex may say to Jordan, "I'm working on feeling more at ease in social situations when I don't know other people. And one way you can support me, especially when you'd like to go and talk to someone else, is to let me know and maybe pointing me towards someone you think I might connect with." Notice what happened here. Alex acknowledged an area of personal growth. Alex took ownership and made a specific, clear, and doable request, not a demand, not a punishment, but an invitation to Jordan to be a partner in Alex's growth. This is what adult communication sounds like. This is what psycholinguistic development is like. It takes practice, and it also takes willingness to communicate in a different way, a way that can move things forward and be beneficial for everyone involved. Now, take a moment to reflect on this as we close. Every time you choose to turn inward before you turn outward, every time you choose to own your feelings instead of outsourcing them, you are doing something quite radical. You are saying, I trust myself to tend to my inner world. I am no longer waiting for someone else to make it safe, comfortable, connected, sweet, etc. That is the power of language. And that's the language that transforms not only your relationships, but your entire way of moving through the world. This is language alchemy as evolutionary activism. One honest, grounded, courageous reflection at a time. And just like I started this episode with a question, I will end it with a rhetorical one. If Alex talked to Jordan as an adult, instead of communicating in the way Alex learned as a child, do you think Jordan's communication would stay the same? I know, I said this was a rhetorical question. In my work as a transformative communication coach and in my own life, I've seen it again and again that when one person starts communicating more and more as the adult they are, other people around them, sooner or later, start to change how they communicate. And now, let's recap what you've heard in this episode. Today, we explored what it means to relate to others as a child, waiting for them to change their communication so that we can feel safe, seen, or at ease. We looked at 5 signs to know we are communicating from a younger version of ourselves. And we discussed how placing our emotional well-being in someone else's hands leaves us powerless. Then I taught you how to reclaim your connection with your inner environment with 4 steps. Number 1, recognize the pattern. Number 2, turn toward your inner experience. Number 3, verbalize what you find there. And number 4, ask for what you need as an adult. Because when your communication catches up with the caring, intelligent adult you already are, everything in your relationships has the possibility to change. Thank you so much for listening, and a special thanks to my communication clients, Augusta, Seth, Britt, Molly, Claudia, Audrey, and Penny, who are all transforming their communication and learning to express themselves as the conscious, mature, and compassionate adults they are. Until next episode, and as we say in Argentina, ciao ciao! Original music by Gary Lapo. You can find all links in the show notes at languagealchemy.com.